Hello, I'm Raymond Smith, Cole's father. Cole's my youngest. I lived in Saskatoon here. We moved here from Delisle, Saskatchewan in 1972, and I moved out in 91 back to Manitoba. We're from Biscarth, Manitoba area. St. Madeleine is where mom and dad grew up. And I went to school for 1 year. Dad worked for the mine. In 66, he got transferred to Delisle, Saskatchewan. They built another mine there. In 14 days, there was 10 families that moved out of Russell, Manitoba. And 8 of them were Métis, Mischief. And Dad said he was kind of different because all of a sudden, a 2-hour radius out of Delisle, there was no Métis, no reserve. Dad said everybody got paid on every Friday. Midnight Friday night, he said the locals were in there with all the Métis. He said, looked like a checkerboard. He said, kind of neat. But he said that's how we did that. And Delisle, Saskatchewan was a sport town because the Bentleys, Doug and Max Bentley, played for the Chicago Blackhawks in 58, 59, and 60. So we learned how to play sports. Everybody looks at you and they go, because you're native, and they kind of look down at you. But being in Delisle, me and my brothers, we played as good as sports as they did, if not better. And we gave our 2 cents in there and they accepted us, just like at a job. You put in your 2 cents and everybody accepts you. But you got to put in your 2 cents and don't look at it as a racial thing. There's always going to be people like that. But 75 to 80% of the people I've been with, they accept you. You become good friends and as a good crew, and away you go. But moving from Manitoba to Saskatchewan, and then in 91, I moved my family. Cole was just a baby, a year old. And the rest, 3 and 2 and 4, and we lived there for a little bit, and then the kids moved away with their mother, and I stayed in Manitoba, and I still don't think that was a mistake. I really liked Manitoba. It was a slow pace of life, hardly any crime there, and it's very nice. Living in that river valley is it's pretty. You appreciate the wildlife and everything that goes around you, especially the farmers. In my time of life, the people that work construction, industrial, and the farmers. We're the ones that run this country. Everybody else, OPM, they live on other people's money. But we're the ones that run this country. And a lot of people forget about that. And sometimes it hurts my feeling when I was growing up in the 60s, 70s, you got to trade, and you're something. Now you're a skilled labor. Well, that hurt my one feeling. What, next week I'm going to be a skilled peasant? What is that? We're the ones that run this. But again, everybody falls in, dentists, lawyers, doctors, you know what I mean. Everybody's got to have a job to help a town or a city function. But back then, yeah, it was kind of neat meeting all these people. And I started working construction with Dad when I was 16 in 1975. $3.65 an hour. I had money all the time, man. 1977, I was making $7.50 an hour. Went to the travel lodge here in town. Somebody pulled it for me because I wasn't old enough to get beer. And I bought a 24 pack of cigarettes, threw the change in my tank for $10 for the weekend. And that's the way it was. I had money all the time. When I was in high school, delivered pizza for Boston Pizza on 33rd. It was awesome. It's just too bad I had a 61 Meteor with a 352 in it. I couldn't keep gassing in it. But it was nice. Everybody had a job, and everybody was once a fast food place like A&W, McDonald's. They're looking for help. They fulfilled it in the next day or two. Nowadays, they keep looking and looking and looking, and it seems like the younger ones don't want to work, or I don't get it. But I remember I used to have my own money when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. I delivered flyers. When we moved in 72, 73, 74, we moved to Riversdale, and I was delivering flyers. I got $13.65 every 2 weeks. I had money all the time. A friend of mine, Dale Clark, grade 8, we call him the house in grade 12. He was 267. 17 years old. Dale Clark's mother, Joan Clark, gave me my first job. Those two did. Joan Clark and Gordie Howe were brothers and sisters. It was kind of neat. I never got to meet him because I started working out of town in construction. Brother Dale played goal for Dale Clark's team, the Wesleys. He said he was playing at Optimist, and he got off outdoor rink. He got out. They won 3-0 that night. He said he was walking off, and he said all of a sudden, he said before I got to the shack, a big hand hit me in the back. And he said, "Good game, son. You did real good." And he said I looked up, and he was Gordie Howe. You go, holy smoke, big smile on his face. And that goes a long ways when you get a pat in the back like that. You don't need it much, but it sure means a lot. It really does. Going through life in this town, I couldn't think of a better way to live. Back in the 70s, everybody having hot rods and nice classic cars. And for cheap, you could buy a classic car between 15 and $500. Easy. Village Auto on Avenue C and 22nd. That's all they sold. Girls hitchhiking from A&W to A&W, 8th Street, 22nd, Idlewild, just to ride in your hot rod, and no one went missing. It was awesome. You could walk home from a basketball or a football game, and no one would bother you. It was so nice and peaceful. And knowing that, everybody, it was nice. And now, going through life, and like I said, you have a job, you do your 2 cents, and you're accepted. It don't matter where you are. And that's what I found out in life. I've been working all Western Canada, the territories, the Yukon. I got a hat on right here. And in the back, it's got a Canadian and a Russian flag. I was an opportunity. I'm a carpenter by trade, a commercial carpenter. There's 5 different kinds of carpenters, but I was a commercial carpenter. So I built buildings, hockey rinks, dams, bridges. I worked on 7 different kinds of mines, one in Kyrgyzstan. And this hat I got from Yakut, Siberia. We doubled up International Airport in size. It was kind of neat. I appreciated life there when I come back because the people there were making $17 an hour a month. $17 a month, 50 cents a day. They were poor. We were making $23 an hour, and we were doing okay. We were paying the Russians $2 an hour, 12-hour days. We fed them at dinner time, and they had to give half their money to the KGB. They had a hard time there. We're buying vodka by the liter, $2 a liter. They thought we were rich because we bought them by 6 packs. And then when I went to Kyrgyzstan, it was different. They were $34 a month, and they were still poor. It was a great big city, probably the size of Edmonton, and everybody had an acre or half an acre, and they had chickens and they had cattle, and that's how they lived. They had 1 or 2 cows, a chicken, a couple pigs in that yard. That whole city consisted like that, and that's how they lived. And like I said, when I come back, I go, oh, life is not that bad in Canada. We are so fortunate. And my father told me that. We're very fortunate to be Canadians. We have every opportunity in life. All you have to do is succeed and take that big step forward. That's all you have to do. It's kind of neat. And Saskatoon, remember BC boys used to bug me up at the Caddy Diamond Mine. He said, oh, yeah. He says, I heard you're moving, Ray. You're moving to another flat spot. Hey, I said, so what? They said, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, 2-hour radius. All the hunting and fishing you can imagine is right here. Now I tell everybody, oh, what's in Saskatchewan or Manitoba? It gets minus 55, and the wood ticks are just horrible. It's horrendous. And that way the population stays to 1 million. Keep them out. Keep them out, man. You don't have to put a big fence. Just tell them there's ticks there, man. That'll keep them away. But otherwise, yeah, it's been up and down. I couldn't raise my children. They moved to BC for a little bit. I worked out of town 90% of the time. Sometimes I think maybe I did wrong or right, but they still love me and they come around and we still enjoy. Now I got 2 great grandchildren I'm really looking forward to. Pretty soon I'll retire. I drive school bus now in Roblin, Manitoba, and I love it. The kids are awesome. I got them believing they're snow snakes. They got 3 eyes, and if you step on them, you stink. They don't bite you, they stink. So if you step on one, you're not allowed on the bus because you're going to stink. So now these grade 1 and grade 2s, they all wondering what I was. Then I swerved the bus, and I'm not supposed to, and they almost fall out of the seat. And they say, "What was that? Snow snakes." I said, "You got to watch them. They're in the snow bank when it's melting." But yeah, just have a blast. That's a good retirement job. I was a custodian for a while. Yeah, I didn't like that job. It was if it wasn't for the kids and the teachers, I probably wouldn't have did it for 6 years, but I sure like my bus driving job. I don't know how long you go on, but it is what it is. And now, probably probably eventually I would like to come around here more often, especially with my grandchildren in here. They're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and what a wonderful family. I, uh, I feel bad once in a while because I watch, Demi and Cole with their kids, and Cole gets to be with their kids every day. I remember the first winter I worked in, Kyrgyzstan, and I got there on the 9th of December, and it was a direct line because Chemical Gold was building a gold mine out of Saskatoon, and they had a direct line to Saskatoon, and I phoned my kids at Christmas time, and I remember my daughter said, "Dad," he said, "When you coming home?" He said, "You're gonna be home for Christmas?" And I had to make, an excuse, and I almost started crying. I go, "Holy smokes." I That's the first time I ever been away with my kids for Christmas. And and when Christmas and New Year's come, it was just another working day. It didn't mean nothing. It's Yeah, but that's what you gotta do when you wanna make a buck. You got to, sacrifice this, that, and sometimes it's the right call, sometimes it's not. I often wonder that, but like I said, our family on the Smith side, we're very family orientated, always have been, always will be. If you fall down, they're there to help you. That's the way my father taught us. And he taught us hate. I don't want that word in my house. Hate. That's a violent word. Don't use hate. Is there something wrong with you? You hate. Maybe you don't like that one person, but hate. That's a violent word, son. Don't use that, please. And we didn't. You never heard that word. Hate is horrible. And but there it is. Another wonder of the world, I guess. Hate. How far do you go with it? Like Dad said, that's a violent word. My mind.
I think it's just like a different time now too. There's like more, just like we were talking about earlier about the internet. Like there's more, we can see what everyone's doing.
Yeah,
We can see the effects. We can see like before no one was connected, so you just did what your parents did.
that's right.
You just learned from the people close to you.
Yeah,
Now we're comparing to everything and it's making us feel bad or making us feel good.
absolutely.
And it's like,
And you still got to be focused on your family, though. Remember, those are
definitely.
good values. You stay with your good values all the time. Everybody has ups and downs. Well, I remember bad things when, yeah, I remember bad things. I got a daughter right now who's mad at me because she said I, uh, I threatened her. Yeah, I did. My mom and dad threatened me till the day they died. I lived through it, so what? Holy, don't take it personally like that. Hello, I was getting a little selfish, and yeah, you're thinking about yourself too much. My dad called me stupid till I was 42, man. I shot his truck one time on chicken. See, boy, his bottom lip would quiver when he was mad at you, and he was looking at me. I go, oh, I gave him the prairie chicken. Oh, holy! I end up buying that truck actually and moving to Manitoba with my family. Oh, holy! I did, Cole. It was a blue Chevy. Holy pellets! The whole passenger door is full of pellets. 4 pellets on the fender and 3 on the box. It bounced. I was shooting in the valley because Brother Wayne was in the bush. Ping, ping, he shot 2 with a 22. One's coming your way, and he went down in the valley, and I shot down. And I mean a 90-degree angle down, and it bounced, and it hit the truck. I go, holy smokes. And I was driving Dad's car. Cousin Joe was driving the truck. And I told him it's 45 minutes from home. You better drive the truck because I ain't going to live with Dad all the way home. But Dad, yeah, He co-signed for me for $2,500. 1977, went downtown Saskatoon, 20th and 4th. Ted Hansen Pontiac. Pulled in the lot, Brother Dale's with me. Pulled up beside a 72 Dodge Challenger. 340 mag, and I'm looking at bucket seats, silver, black top. And I go, oh, wow, I'm going around looking at it. I look at my dad, I go, gee, Dad, I got a $2,500 loan. It's $2,375. It's a $100,000 car now. I said, at $2,375, we could probably get it for less than that. He looked at me and goes, well, I'm not going to bury you with it. How about this 73 Le Mans over here? Bed seat, stock motor. Yeah, that's better, he said. Yeah, and I understand who he was coming from because, yeah, you're right. It would have been floorboard city there driving through. And then when I was 20 years old, they co-signed for a $10,000 loan, and I bought a Chevy van right off the lot. 70, just under 8 grand. $7,900 for a 79 Chevy van. Wow. I was so proud of that. Brand new, pulling out of the garage here after we customized it. Oh, it was so cool. Went camping. Yeah, that was my dad. I know a lot of people said he was hard on me, but he made the man that I am right now. Responsible. I've always had a job, never been without a job. I hurt my arm a long time ago when I was 25 years old, pouring concrete over here at J&H Enterprises just north of the Travelodge. Karma. Karma is a bad thing. There's 75% of us are Métis on that concrete crew, and there's 3 people there from Hague, Saskatchewan, and I could hear them, and they were saying racist remarks, and I start riding their butts real hard too. I was not a nice guy after that. I heard that, and then my boss told me to clean out the bottom of the concrete pump truck and the hopper, and the hydraulics moved on me and severed my arm in half. And it took me 18 months to get back to work, but I still went back to work. I was right-handed. I remember pulling my arm out of the machine and it fell on the ground. And when I was grabbing it, picking it up, because you're just hanging there. But anyways, I looked, and then them boys were looking at me, and I could see in their eyes, serves you right, buddy. And I thought, I never rode anybody like that again. I helped them, and I tried to be a mentor the best I could with wisdom and teach them all my knowledge. But if anybody got under my skin and I didn't like them and they're not working out right, I just told my boss we need somebody else. I did not. You have no right to ride anybody's butt like that at all. And I think about that lots, but I don't do that. All my all my workers that worked for me, and I was a general foreman and a junior superintendent for Clark Builders since the '80s, and I've never done that. If it's not working out, I just send them away. You got no right to make somebody's life miserable at all. You got no right to do that. Facts of life, the things you learn on the road, and the people. The people. I miss construction because of the people. All walks of life. Unreal. When I worked in Fort Mac, I bought a Maritime map. And everybody I got along with, I told them to circle where you're from and put your name there. I'm coming to visit you. And I haven't retired yet. I got a lot of people to go visit. Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick. There's a fellow there that breeds Clyde horses. He told me to come see him. And he's about my age. Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be kind of cool. I got a lot of people to visit.
What was
And
your favorite job?
what was my favorite job? Kyrgyzstan was pretty interesting because we pretty much did the mine right from scratch, and there was holes way up on top, like caves, and the Russians would send the people in there from jail. They'd take these people from jail and send them in there, and at the end of the day, if they didn't come out, they just left them. But the uh, the safety in it was horrible because we lost 27 people in 11 months, and that's the reason I went out there is to replace some of them. And the Caddy Diamond Mine was really interesting. It was an open pit mine, great big trucks. And then probably the neatest job I ever did was in North Saskatchewan River in Edmonton. We did the water treatment plant. and the intake was 2/3 across the river. And there was a big bend there coming across because wherever the bend hits in the river, that's the deepest part. And I said, how come you didn't go with the other bend over here? It's closer to the bank. So if you look at the North Saskatchewan, we built this concrete piece. It looked like a boat because the boat point was pointing towards the current. And that was probably about 100 feet long and 50 feet wide. It was a concrete structure with walls. And we had 4 pipes, 60-inch pipes coming in there. And it sucked the water into the water treatment plant. I thought that was pretty cool. We built walls. We had to dam off the river with these copper lining, they're called. They're big tubes that slid in between each other. And what they did is bolt them up before they put them in the water, and it retained the water, and we had 4 or 5 pumps, 12-inch pumps pumping all the water. And then we had to build a bridge, a wooden bridge that sat on top of the ice to go to where we're pouring the concrete for that intake. And I thought that was pretty cool. Once we were done, we had to beat. It was this time of the year. We had to beat before the ice started breaking up. And it was a really cold winter, fortunately, and we did get it done. But the top part was open. I said, well, how come it's open like that? I said, you're going to get all kinds of fish with it. Oh, no. He said, they're going to drop a great big piece of steel, like a mesh, so nothing gets in it. Well, I said, how are they going to do that? With boats in the summertime. They're going to go along there, drag it, 4 tuggers, and they just drop that in there with divers. I go, really? And then they'll bolt that in, and that'll be your intake for the water tank. Really? And they had a 30-inch pipe, an intake and an outtake. I said, well, what's that little pipe for? He said, that's for the fish. It sucks the fish in there and it sucks them back out into the river. Really? Holy smokes. So when we were getting the walls done, and they're a meter thick, and we're pouring this concrete, and my general foreman there, I was carpenter then, this would be about '04, '05, and we're down below, and we could see that pump, and he was plugging. We're going, what's it plugging? And it was a sucker, about a 5-pound sucker stuck in there. Eh, Don Cardinal is kind of a funny guy, Métis guy from Buffalo Lake, a settlement, Métis settlement plant up there, and he was a really good carpenter. And he says, Rick Hemmerly, Rick, come here. He says, I haven't shook your hand in a long time. Rick put his hand out, and Don put that fish there as half rotten. Did he stink for 2 weeks? He had to throw his gloves away and his coveralls. It was pretty funny. But I thought that was a pretty neat, uh, pretty cool job. It was really interesting how they did that. And then probably another job was a compost center in Edmonton. We built these stainless steel walls that was 40 feet high. We built a retaining wall out of dirt, and this wire mesh was 6 inches in squares, and they were 40 feet long and 8 feet wide. And they had a hook, like a 90-degree angle, that would drop 3 feet, and they interlocked them. And they built a dirt wall going straight up, and it went up 33 feet, and there was about a 20 mil tolerance. And then you built your concrete, your forms, and these bars, the wire mesh, you had bars, 20 bars, and that's where your snap ties were. So we poured concrete up against this wall, and the dirt and that wire mesh held it. They put pins in them, 6 feet long, every 4 to 5 feet. And I'm looking at it. We couldn't take pictures of it. And these impact walls started at 3 feet deep, and they went on an angle like that because that's where your machines pick up all the garbage and throw them into the tipping area, they called it. And it was all stainless steel. So we couldn't take pictures of it because I found it very interesting. And the way they built the walls and that. And then that stainless steel building was probably 300 feet by 600 feet long. It's huge. It's 140, 150 square feet. A hockey rink, the ice surface is 18,000 square feet. And I go, it's just huge, all stainless steel. And then we put tunnel concrete pads in there with railing and these like these cars would go back and forth on it. It's like a little mini crane. They run on these rails because we put rails on there so they can run back and forth. That was all neat. I wanted to take pictures and we couldn't. And there was an American outfit that come up there. And I said, no, we just built a 14, 15-inch wall straight up 33 feet. You got bigger ones? He said, yeah, that one in California is bigger than this, probably 10 times the size. I said, how high are the walls? 80 feet. 80 feet. I said, how thick are the walls? He said 1,500 thick, a meter and a half. You're kidding. So how big are the snap ties and those square steel that we put down the wire mesh? I said, how big are those? He said they're 25 mil, which is an inch. You're kidding. And they put all those down. Yeah. And then they had to pound pegs in them, 2-inch pegs to hold that screen. And then they compact the dirt on top of it. And they put another layer, foot. Then they compact that. And that's how they did that where we were also. And I found that very interesting. And the stainless steel in there. So, because it's all garbage from all of Edmonton. So you don't want anything to ferment or go rotten or anything or deteriorate like that. But yeah, that was probably one of the interesting jobs. I've worked, like I said, 7 different kinds of mines. I worked in hospitals, universities, Robbins Health Science Center. Pretty much started that whole college. Now it's a university, Grant McCavish, Grant McEwen, I mean, sorry. And we started that probably 91, 92 with Stuart Olson, and then with Clark Builders at the end. PCL started that too. It was all pretty interesting work. When you get to work, when I started to become a superintendent in Grand Prairie, and my first superintendent job was we built Best Buy, 55,000 square feet, a Future Shop, 55,000 square feet, Markwick Warehouse, 35,000 square feet, all different buildings, CIBC and Bank of Nova Scotia. Then another building that was 18,000 square feet, 2 stores, 2 restaurants, and the other one was 16,000 square feet, 2 stores and 1 restaurant. I started there on the 28th of February, and by the time the 4th of April was there, we're done all the buildings, standing them up, steel structure and the roof. And they said no one done that before. And we're halfway done the Future Shop. So when we started there, I started pouring the grade 4-foot grade beams for Best Buy, and there was nothing else there. They were ripping up the yard and putting water and sewer. And there was a moose, cow moose, and 2 calves right across the street, and I got pictures of that. So that was my first superintendent job, and that was under schedule and under budget.
What did you like better, being just being there to work, or did you prefer being superintendent?
My favorite job, I liked the superintendent because I wanted to acknowledge what was going around. When you had a roundtable meeting with the
Mm,
architects and the engineers, electrical engineers, so it's all top dog, and the owners, the people that invested in that. So you got to know all the politics, what was going on there. But for me, my favorite job was a general foreman.
mm.
Now you're out in the field. I had 27 men, and I had a couple of 3 or 4 arrogant buggers that were carpenters, good builders, but they're arrogant, their way or no way. So when we started doing those buildings, I gave one guy, I separated my crew with 2 builders, 2 carpenters, and a helper. So there was 3 to a crew. I had 27 men, and I had 9 crews. And I gave them 1 building to the Future Shop, 1 building to the Best Buy, 1 building for um, Markwick Warehouse, and then the other 2 18 to 16-foot buildings. Well, the race is on because they kept looking over their shoulder, who's getting more done. Did that ever work? It's kind of neat when you send a bunch of men there, and it's like a little army. And if you organize it right, all you can see is tic-tac-toe. Every day there's that much more. And that's I really like that part because you're in control of all your men. And the superintendent, they leave you alone if you know what you're doing and progress is going, and they're not gonna step in front of that. And when you start pouring concrete, like when I was in Kyrgyzstan, I got there on the 9th of December. My first pour was the 28th of December, and I was done by the first week in April, and I poured 19,000 meters of concrete, all a meter thick walls and 14 to 18 thick floors. It was that was kind of neat. Put in that much concrete, and like I said, 1,800 square feet for an ice surface. You're looking at 160, 180 yards. Now I just poured 19,000. I was 35 years old. Your age, Cole, when I went there. I was 36. Called me a liar for a year. But but I found that very interesting. And like I said, when we went there to Kyrgyzstan, it was Enco Engineering and Kilborn Engineering out of Saskatoon. They went half and half. And I didn't know the Turkish people were quite the builders, but the superintendents there for tying steel, the iron workers, and the carpenters, they had these European international cards for their trade. And they built in Greece, Italy, France, and then they're there. Now, they were pouring the first floor on the primary crusher where I worked. It was the highest building on the mountain. The primary crusher, there was 5 floors where they dumped the raw gold. It was, and they did tube and clamp scaffolding to hold all this, the floor. They did the walls. Now they're doing the floor. It's 33 feet high. But the tube and clamp, they weren't putting it against the wall because once you start pouring concrete, they had a 3-meter bucket. It started shaking, but they're away from the wall. So now they had a big embed there that was 6,500 square in diameter, and it moved. It moved a foot and a half, 500 millimeters, and they got fired. And it was the Turks. They were awarded the primary crusher because their engineering company was there, and they got mad at us because we had to come there and replace them. And there was 19 guys that got rolled out of there, and 7 Canadians come in there, and we took over being the boss or whatever, and they didn't like that at all. But they're pretty good. They're pretty good builders. They did lots. They worked hard just like everybody else. Uh, I forgot where I was going with this.
It's all right. That's another one thing probably that I wanted you to share on. And obviously, most people know me for boxing, and I think because of you and my uncles, like, and the stories you guys all shared, it kind of got me interested in boxing and combat sports, and why I kind of went that way. Um, but yeah, if you wanted to share how you started boxing and how you got involved in boxing and your brothers and all that.
Well, we got involved in boxing whether we liked it or not. We moved into the city, and we're small kids. You can see the size of me. When I was 17 years old in Bedford Road, I wrestled at 130 pounds. We were small boys, and Dad knew that the city was rough, moving from Delisle to here in 1972. So one day after supper, Dad says, "You boys, 4 of us, the 4 oldest ones, me, Dale, Wayne, and Brian," he says, "after supper, you put on your running shoes and you go in the car. I'll be right there." We didn't know what was going on. Took us down to 20th and 3rd, between 3rd and 4th, and the Indian Métis Center, and they had a boxing club. So he put us in boxing. We were small kids, and we got to like this, and we started getting pretty good at it. Ricky and Randy Smith are there. They're twins. Randy Smith was well renowned in Canada already and a bit of the States. He went to Victoria and knocked out this American and won the Golden Glove Award and the Golden Boy Award. And he did good. The boxing back then was fabulous because, that was Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, all that. Those top notch boxing back then. All the amateur clubs are awesome. Cougar Boxing Club out of Edmonton, Shoe Line out of Weyburn, which is the hockey boys down there. Tiger Williams and his 2 brothers were Sid and Morgan. Morgan was 5-time Canadian champ. Dale said he went to a tournament one time and Morgan uppercut this guy and put him through the ropes, fell on the judge's bench. But he said that's how good it was. And that's how we become. But the last few years when I was getting bigger, I started at 100 pounds in grade 8. And then once I got to 17, 18 years old, before I hit senior at 18, we were with the Regina Boxing Club, and they're going to Missoula, Montana. 2 weeks prior, we had fights in Regina. I won, Brother Dale won. He won by a split, and I fought a guy from Regina, and I won. So we're in pretty good shape because Norris and Claude Pettit out of Duck Lake, Saskatchewan, was coaching us. Claude Pettit was 5, 6 time heavyweight boxing champ in the Army, in the Canadian Army. That's where we got our training from. And then this King at the last year was training us, and we got to be pretty good. So I was fighting light middle, 155. Dale was 135. We're going to Regina. We're going to Missoula, Montana. Dale beat this guy from Missoula, so he wanted a rematch. Dale was a feature fight. There was 16 fights that night, and Brother Dale was the last one. He was a feature fight. I was number 9 on the card, and we're sitting up there, and David Acusa's from Regina, Saskatchewan, middleweight, 10 pounds heavier than me. And we're sitting up the stands, all taped up, and watching all the girls coming in. And Dave says, Ray, ask that big guy beside you who he's fighting. I looked at him. Oh, man, he's a big boy. Who are you fighting? Ray Smith. Wow. Holy smokes, man. I'm now on my Regina Boxing Club. They're laughing at us. Me and Dale are the only ones from Saskatoon. Holy smokes. And kind of getting psyched out already. And this guy's the state champ. No one's went 2 rounds with this fella. And I'm in his 11th fight. I go, holy smokes. And back then, you all got gloved together. You stood there and you watched this guy, you eye him up, and you're getting gloved together. And I'm watching him, and I go, and I used to fight like Muhammad Ali. I had a pretty good left, and I had a good reach. And then the same time with Sugar Ray Leonard. And I'm looking at him, but I pretty much went towards Muhammad Ali. I really liked his style. Dale was like a Sugar Ray Leonard, and Joe Frazier. He liked to get inside and starting to work and start coming up. And then we're getting gloved, and I noticed, I go, man, I got about 2 inches on the reach here. I might have a chance. And we got in there, bang, bang, went to first. Dale said you went in there and you gave him 3 lefts. He said you snapped his head back, and you're pushing him against the ropes. He said you come back in the middle. You gave him a 3-punch combination, but he said he was hitting you pretty good too. He'd bounce your head back a little bit because he started fighting back off the ropes. Then I went, gave me that 3-punch combination, overhand right, sent him into the ropes. I come down low like this because I was smaller than him. He come off the ropes. He caught me over my gloves. Down I went. Dale said I jumped up right away, rubbed my gloves, gave me a standing 8. This is first round. So I jumped in there again. I go, I got to stay in the middle. I ain't going to chase him again. Where Dale said we're snapping our heads back pretty good. He said, but you're beating him to the punch and you're getting more punches. You're actually winning that. And then I gave him about a 3-4 punch combination with a left hook. Sent him into the ropes again like a dumbass. I come at him with my hands down. He come off the ropes. He nailed me. Down I went. Dale said, this time you needed the ropes to help you up. And I got up and he said, my legs are banging together. I got hurt. You can tell a boxer when he gets hurt. You can handle a punch, you'll get hurt, but you stagger, you still catch yourself. When you get hit as a boxer and your gloves drop first, you're hurt. You're hurt real bad when your gloves drop first. And Dale said that's what happened. And Ken Goff, probably the best amateur coach in Canada at the time from Regina, Ken Goff, he threw in the white towel and I kicked it. And I wanted more time. It was only the first round. And it never happened to me before. But I remember Brother Dale told me, he says, you'd never hit a hard punch until you hit a boxer, an American fighter. And that guy could hit, man. Holy, I thought David Acus could hit because I had to fight him a couple times. But this guy could hit. Oh, but again, he had the ropes to sponge off with. So, yeah, yeah. I wish I could do that again. But that was pretty much my last fight. My jaw was sore for about 4 months. Every time I ate, it hurt, and I don't like to hurt when I eat. And then my nose, my nose, every time I sneezed, I got a bleeding nose. He said, "Took me a long time." He said, "That guy hit me." But that was the end of that, and I remember laying there on the canvas, everybody go, "Get up, get up." And I remember watching Richard Pryor imitating Muhammad Ali as a boxer, and he got knocked down too in the first round. And he said, I remember the audience looking at me say, "Get up, get up." And all I can think of, what for? That's how I got here in the first place. Yeah. So that was the end of my boxing career. I didn't want to do that anymore. And Dale pretty much slowed down. The Probably Randy and Mike kept on to it a little bit because they were Randy is 10 years younger than me. So he was only 7 or 8. He put on those boxing gloves, man, them 12 ounces, and they're bigger than his head. What do you guys use now in the ring? 10 ounce?
Uh, 10 or 12,
10 or 12?
depending on the weight.
There used to be 8 inches, 8 ounces at one time, but too many people got hurt, so they changed to 10 and 12. And
Yeah, and in most gyms too, sparring, you have to have 14s at least
14, is that
for
okay?
sparring.
Yeah,
So if you go
right.
to lots of gyms, they won't
Yeah.
let you spar
We
with anything less than
less than
14.
that. We used 12s back
Yeah.
then. We didn't have much equipment. But remember Brother Dale, 1975, first year I worked construction with Dad. And Dale just become an open fighter, and he won provincials twice already. But we weren't getting too many fights, so he just won his provincials, and then he was fighting open fighters. So he was down to about 12 or 14 fights. And he went to the Canada Winter Games, even though he only had 9 fights, and he won a bronze there. And then he went to no, he lost. He lost by to Frank Pruden out of Cougar Boxing Club. And then he went to the Western Summer Games that summer, and he won a bronze there. And then he was only 15 years old. Ken Goff took him to Montreal to fight in the Montreal Olympics in the Canadian Summer Games, Canadian Olympics again in Montreal. But anyways, he went down there. He only had 14, 15 fights. He jumped in the ring, and he won his 2 fights, and then now they're fighting for the bronze. So, but if he would have won, he would have won, got on to go fight for the gold. But Brad Horty, who he was fighting, and the guy got a bye, so he was guaranteed the silver. And Dale jumped in the ring with Brad Horty out of Edmonton Cougar Boxing Club. And Brad Horty had over 200 fights. Brother Dale said, but Ken Gall trained him really good. He had a 7-punch combination. He said, I did that for 3 weeks, and I didn't even realize I was throwing it. It was a natural once we got to Montreal. And he said he got in the ring with Brad Horty. He had over 200 fights. Dale said, didn't matter where I moved, he was on me. And I had to fight back all the time. But Ken Goff didn't realize how good a shape he was because Dale ran every day. And I mean, ran every day, 2, 3 times, morning, afternoon, evening. And that's how he was training. And Ken Goff got a hold and showed him how to punch. And Dale said he went all 3 rounds with Brad Horty, and he lost by a split decision. Brother Dale got a bronze. Brad Horty went on, knocked that guy out in the first round, and that guy was guaranteed a silver. He come over and shook Dale's hand, and he said, Dale, you're ranked second in Canada, not third. And he said, you're way better than that guy. He said, I've never been hit that hard before. And he said, I fought a lot of American fighters, but he told Dale that was one hell of a bout. But that's Dale had 90 fights in the ring, and he lost his first 3 fights. I won my first 3. And Dale went on to fight about 90 fights, and he lost 12 times. I myself, I'm batting about 500. And if it wasn't for me seeing the floor in Missoula, Montana, I might have did more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Holy, that's not a good feeling, man, when you got lots of pride and you're losing. Son of a gun, that's a long 3 minutes.
Did grandma and grandpa watch lots?
Yeah, they did. I don't think they missed a tournament. They were there all the time. When we went to Middle Lake and three of us won provincials, poor Brian, poor Wayne, he didn't eat. But again, there's seven of us who went to the Edmonton, the Cougar Boxing Club. We were fighting, and he was the only Smith that won that day. There were seven of us.
Lots
So
lots of those gyms are still running. Like Cougar still runs.
Cougars are very famous with Scotty Olson come from there in the 70s and the 80s. And he was WBA,
Mm.
WBC, and IBF. He had those titles for about 3-4 years. And I can't remember the boys from there, but yeah, that's a very professional club. Yes, it is. And like you said,
And Sioux Line is still running.
Sioux Line is still running. Yeah. Old, he was an army boy too. Oh, Hartenberger. He's a dude like this. He's kind of, that is funny. And then the Red Pheasant Reserve, Candu, and he was Banak, Walter Banak was his name. He had some pretty good fighters there too. I
Mm,
fought against the Baptiste,
okay.
and yeah, so did my brothers. They fought against the Baptiste. Walter Banak had a son that was really good. He fought Brother Brian all the time, and it's the only time Brian ever lost was against him. That guy was a good fighter, boy. But Brian, they'd meet in the middle, man. All you can hear is gloves change, man. Holy smokes. Step back for 2, 3 steps and then get at her again. And they're only probably grade 4, grade 5, grade 6. So that's all you do. You just hammer punches in there. You don't throw combinations. You just start looking like a windmill with gloves on. And that's how they did. And who won? Woo! But it was kind of neat because everybody was into boxing back then, and mom and dad supported us all the time, and plus playing hockey and ball. And that was kind. That's the good thing about Saskatoon. What an athletic place to live.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything's in this town, and I mean everything. We even got the best university in Canada. Anybody that graduates from here at university, way to go.
yeah.
I had a friend of mine that studied like psychology. He went to university for 8 years, got his bachelor's. His marks are so good, they sent him to Scotland for 4 more years, and he got his PhD. He now teaches as a prof in McMaster's. I met his wife, Linda. They went to bed. Victor went to Bedford Road. Linda went to Evan Hardy, and she was cleaning bunks in '82 when I worked at Key Lake, Saskatchewan, a uranium mine. And I talked to her, and she says, "Yeah, I'm taking this class and this and that." And I said, "Well, a friend of mine is teaching part time because I was part of his. Once you did 4 years, that's what you did." So Vic Sasowicz, he said, "Okay," and they met and they got married. Now they got 2 kids. She teaches in the University of Guelph,
Mm.
so that's how professional they are. It's kind of neat. Victor used to come fishing with us almost every weekend. We go camping or go stay someplace. We spend a lot of time together. His birthday is on the 17th of March. A lot of green beer together. I got him in trouble because he skipped grade 2 and I flunked grade 1. So we're 2 years difference. And I forgot, man. I'd pick him up 16, 17 years old. He's only 15. I'd take him home and we had it all gassed up. Poor bugger. His mom beat him up with a broom. He's only 15 years old. I goes, "Geez, Victor, I'm sorry." "That's okay. We'll do it again next weekend." Oh, yeah. His mom and dad owned a meat market here in town, right along Archibald, by Archibald Arena. And that's what they did. They ran a meat market. So, yeah, nice people. Nice people. The people you meet. Every walks of life. Unreal. Everybody's got a story. You
Mhm.
got to listen. Everybody's got a story. And all the mentors, the wisdom of the old people. You got to listen to old people. Don't stop listening to old people. They got a story. Remember working. Oh, what's that old fart going to do with it? Listen to him. He's going through life. He's making it through life. He's surviving. You might not think he knows anything, but listen to him. You are going to learn something off of him. Don't turn your back on those people. They've been through life already. please give them that acknowledge and respect. They got a lot of knowledge.
Mhm.
I all my learnings are from elders, my dad and my mom, and it's kind of neat. My dad quit drinking when I was 10 years old. He raised 7 kids. We adopted a sister, and all my cousins that had bad homes, he raised the Demanis, the Flurries. Power to 'em. Mom and dad raised 15, 16 kids, and they all responsible people nowadays. So when you set an example, it means so much when you go through life. It might not click right away, but once you're 30 or 40, things start clicking in, and it takes that long. It really does. The dumb age. I call it the dumb age, the 20s. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do that? Am I going to make a mistake? Don't look back. Just keep going. Then eventually you'll do something that you want to do. I love building. I miss it. I really do. And the people you meet, it's an honest way of life, man. You work by the hour, it's an honest way of life. And do not take that away from anybody because they are building your world around you. And I'm proud of it. I started with water and sewer. Remember on Cinnamine Drive was the outskirts of town. Wildwood Mall was on footings, 1976. Fairlight Drive, the Confed Inn was on footings. We did the deep line there. We're down 210 feet, putting in a 90-inch line. 120 is what we started. You could drive a mini Austin through that. That was kind of neat. That was, yeah, it was kind of neat. Making a buck. Hey, 16, 17 years old, working with men, you're happy, the old guys that steer you the right way. A lot of nice people out there. There really is.
You
Is
you shared lots about grandpa at the beginning of the podcast. You should share about grandma.
grandma. Wow. You couldn't ask for a better mother. She was caring. There wasn't a kid. I remember my new girlfriend had a boy and a girl same age as Cole and Amy, and the daughter would started crying, and mom would pick her up, and she stopped crying. And my girlfriend looked at me and said, "I never seen that before." She never stopped crying like that. My mom was a super mom. She raised a lot of kids, and the thing was back then. Now you need 2 incomes coming in. Mom was always a housewife. It was sure kinda neat coming home knowing your mom's there. Somebody is there that cares for you. Dinner time, supper time, there was always somebody there. The supper was made when we start working, me and my brothers, 3 of us and my dad, she made 3 loaf breads full of sandwiches every morning, not in the evening, every morning, and she made breakfast for my dad. I never had breakfast back then. Things were clean. My mom was super. Yeah, I couldn't ask for better parents. I was very blessed very much. They're understanding people, and they were strict. Yeah, I remember everybody's got ADD and ATD. I had that when I was in grade 2 once. My dad told me for the 3rd time he got mad at me. Last thing I remember is his right hand come up like this. I went that way, ADD went that way, and it didn't come back again. How about that? I understood right away I was in the wrong. Sometimes I shouldn't dissipate. But yeah, as for mom, same thing. Boy, she had a bony right hand, man, right between her legs. And how she disciplines 5 boys, I'll never know. But yeah, yeah, we got away with a few stuff. It wasn't bad, but it was mischievous. And mom would say, my mom told me one time, "You're the best liar I ever met." Good damn, I'm your oldest one. Yeah, but you're still the best. Man, if I didn't lie, I would have got a lot of whoopings because of my brother Wayne. That guy was a squealer, but it was fun. It was all part of growing up. Yeah, my mom was awesome. She had a caring heart, and she understood everything you said. My father was illiterate. He could write his name. Mom had grade 6, grade 7. In Manitoba, the Métis, some places weren't allowed to get any more than grade 7 education, and that's what happened back home. Not all of them. George Pelche got his grade 12, but he had to go to a residential school to get that. But as for mom, yeah, Uncle Vince and everybody, Uncle Vince Ledoux, they all had grade 7. That was it. So mom could read and write and wash the bills. That's what she did. But yeah, she was a housewife, and it's too bad that changed where you have to have two incomes because for somebody to raise your kids, it's okay, but I still don't think it's right because they're missing something. Yeah, that family oriented stuff and somebody else raises your kid is not the same. I can't imagine because I was raised by my mom and dad, but I can't imagine me being at a daycare center or something like that, right from second grade, 2 years old until 3 or 4. I can't imagine that. And once dad got home, we went fishing or something like, well, I was doing something. Dad would have to work Saturday mornings till dinner time, but we went camping. Mom would pack a lunch and do this and that. Great big case of pickle pop at 5 cents a bottle. It was awesome. And then help mom do this. And I always help mom. I'd make breakfast for mom. Yeah, she's a super. Everybody loved her. Same with her mom, grandma. She, yeah, you couldn't ask for better. She was a very caring person. Absolutely. She was quiet, and when she said something, she meant it. And she was a meaningful person, and you could tell where she's coming from all the time. She wasn't a mean person. She, yeah, she didn't like that saying hate stuff. Neither that. That's not good. You guys don't hate nobody. Don't hate them. That's not good. That'll get back at you. And mom wasn't a religious person because she had her own thoughts. How can there be a God when all that bad stuff happening to women and children? How come that can't stop? She couldn't understand that. But she believed in karma big time, and so do I. Don't say or do nothing bad to anybody because it'll come back at you. 100%. I'm a walking statistic myself. Guaranteed. I see it all the time, and I keep telling, take it easy, man. You're going to eat that yet. Don't do that. And I try to every day. It's a hard thing trying to be a proper human being. There's people, there's a person, and there's a human being. And a human being is supposed to be the best. But it takes you a lifetime to find that out. It'll take your whole life. And to earn respect, like Dad said, it'll take a whole lifetime. When my dad passed away, the Saskatoon funeral home was standing room only. And I did not know some of them people in there, quite a few actually. And he earned all that respect. And it took him till the day he died. And I go, holy smokes, Pop. If I can do this in my lifetime, I have earned something as a human being. And same with my mother. There was a lot of people at that funeral. It was awesome. It was why it took till they had to pass that I respected and found out how much respect I really had, and I was so proud of them, what they've done in their lifetime. And it wasn't much. My dad said, I was born poor, and my mom said the same thing. I was born poor, chances are we're gonna go that way, but I'm sure gonna have a lot of fun in between. And you can't take that money with you. It does not make you a better person. It does. Money is a tool. If you don't have that tool, there's not a damn thing you can do in life. That's a fact, and I made a lot of money, good money in my time, but I sure had a lot of good times, and I'll never regret it. I could have been a little bit smarter with my money, but I could die tomorrow. Doesn't matter. No, sir. But that's the way it is. My parents, I'm very, very fortunate for my mother and my father. My mom was such a caring person for everybody. Any way that come there, she was a mother to them. Remember, Brother Brian, 15, 16 years old, hanging out with Brother Wayne, and they're just starting to do the party scene, whatever. And Cousin Owens and I would come around and hang out there. And Brian had a bag pot in his pocket, and he put it in Owens' jacket pocket. Mom found it. Beat up Owen and threw him outside. Oh, I said, it's not mine. It's not. It was Brian. You bugger, you. You oh, Owen still talks about that cousin Owen. Cousin Owen's 60 years old. He grew up with the Smiths, he pretty much because he was the youngest one in the family. Yeah, and you're right. Your mom's got bony fists. Yeah. Yeah, but it was yeah,
I can't even picture grandma getting mad.
exactly, exactly. Wayne's first wife, he's got, TJ's mom, made mom mad and slapped her face right in
Mm,
on Abnucci here. And I go, "What did you say to make my mom that mad?"
yeah.
And then they moved to Vancouver. You're kidding. And I go, "Yeah, everybody, the big, oh, yeah, I got my head. No, for what reason? I don't know what he said to mom, but mom didn't even hesitate. Smack right across. You're kidding, because mom was not, she was so gentle
Yeah.
with everybody and their friends. Or, oh, yeah. God, I miss her. I'd give anything in the world to ask my dad a few more questions and my mom,
Mhm.
especially my dad. Wow. My grandpa in the 30s in St. Madeline, he'd go horseshoe pitching contest. Every weekend, Dad said he'd win money and maybe a bag of potatoes or something like that. But he said there's one weekend he was gone an extra day. He won money and he won a set of horseshoes. And I got them. 1937, these horseshoes. I got them hanging in my garage. And I go, holy smokes, these things are now almost 100 years old. I've never seen a pair of horseshoes like that in my life. And I heard he was really good at it. And Dad's got them, and now I got them. Yeehaw. So I don't know which grandson I'm going to give them to. I gave my first grandson my ball glove Dad bought me in 1967 in Delisle. Great big flat pancake looking thing here with fingers in it. But I remember playing catch with my dad. So once Royce is holding up, I want to play catch with him because my dad played catch with me. That'd be so cool.
He already has a good throwing arm.
Oh, does he ever? He's going to play left field. He's going to play left field. And Brother Dale, I don't want to brag about my brother, but we played ball in the 80s and we played 127 games one summer, believe it or not, playing slow pitch in tournaments. It was so hot in 1988, they compared it to the 30s. We started tournaments in the last week of April and we finished in the first week in September. We never had a rain out that summer, not one. That's how hot it was. Dale, Dale was all dark working where he was. And Lynn Ferdinand said, "Look at Dale. He's so dark when he sweats. He looks like a chilled beer bottle, doesn't he?" And he did. Holy smokes. And then he cut the sleeves off. He had a big Y like that. So he had his shirt on working all day. And we were at Jackfish Lake, Ocean by Battleford. We're going to go for a swim in the middle of our ball tournament. Dale took off his shirt, and I'm looking at him. And he's just dark, except where his shirt is white. Dale, I said, before you go in the water, take your vest off. Oh, did he get mad at me? We're all like, because it looked like he had a vest on. Yeah, kind of funny, but probably one of the best third basemen in Saskatoon. I never seen a man with an arm like that. He was doing horizontal drilling for gas lines under roads, so you didn't want to dig them up, so they drilled a hole. And these pipes are about that big around with a hole in it like that to send the hydraulic and push it. It didn't spin it or twist it. So these rods were 4 feet long. He twists those 100 yards at a time. And then once you finish the hole on the other side, you untwist them. That's what his job was. So his arms right here were I was at 275, 260 in left field, and I could hear him cut the wind going to first base. That's how strong his arm was. Holy smokes. And he never missed a ball. I was downtown 20th and Avenue Ace at the Hawk Shop. I'm checking it out and I see two ball gloves there. One brand new. I still got it, a Cooper. It's about that long. That was my left fielder. And I bought him a DNR. A DNR is what the professional was used. Back then, it was about a $350 glove in 1984, 85, and he used that. He did not miss a ball. Oh, man, it hit any part of that leather, it was in that pocket. He never missed a ball. Holy smokes. That was a lot of fun. I wish I could do that again. We played ball right through the '80s until, kids start coming at '87, '89, and then I had to go to work. I had to be a little more responsible than that. Then Cole come in '91, and, well, he made a mess of that.
And then life was over.
And then, like, now I gotta buy some more diapers. Gee!
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was neat, and then in '91, we moved to Manitoba, Manitoba. I wish we could have stayed there and raised the kids. It was so peaceful. We wouldn't have to worry about the crime. We don't even lock our doors back there, back home.
I know for me, like Shellmouth, like when I think of home, I think of Shellmouth
Really good.
because it's like the one place.
Stable.
Yeah, that was the one constant.
Yeah.
Because we moved so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like even Saskatoon, like I like it here, and it's like, but it doesn't feel like home. It just feels like I just live
Just
here.
another place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like
But
me
like
living
when
in
I
Edmonton.
when I think of home, I think of Shellmouth.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's good. I like that.
yeah.
That's awesome because I did buy that home. That was our first home as a family when we bought that.
Right.
$20,000. That's all I paid for that home, man. Unreal. I couldn't believe it. $20,000. I bought 3 houses there, and the last one's sitting on 10 acres, 1,500 square foot home built in '88, 2x6 house, 3/4 inch plywood on the outside and the roof. I bought all 3 houses for $105,000. Where can you do that? Not in the '90s, in the millennium, you could do that, but I did it there. We got wells for both of them and fuel
Natural
systems.
spring.
Natural springs. I got 5 springs on that on my 10 acres. Lovely home. The Assiniboine River is right there, and I could live off that. If I wanted to just do an irrigation with vegetables, we are. And we're going to do that right away because things are just too much and the vegetables are not the same no more like you used to. They're just not there. There's no food value there hardly at all. But you still could live off the land there, and I know you could. Things ever get hard, my kids got a place to go. They got 10 acres. They could split that up. We went down the Sandman numerous times. Yeah, had cold dumping in the river for some reason. I don't know what happened there. And before I knew it, the tube was over my head.
Yeah,
And then they left me at it.
I didn't learn that from anyone.
That's hereditary.
Yeah. I didn't get dumped my whole life, thrown in waters, thrown off ledges.
Yeah. It was, yeah, that's a blast. You know, the kids still come back and enjoy that. It's kind of, we used to have July 1st Shellmouth days, and Cole and Demi would come there and they win medals, gold medals every year. Except that one year they lost to the 2 grandpas, Owen Janai and Dwight Weaver, my best man. It was kind of funny. Yeah, I seen some awful lips hanging there for a while. I'm sure I seen mud there that one time. But yeah, it's been life goes by fast, man. The 20s, the dumb years, it takes a long time to get 30, and once you do, before you know it, you're 50. It's got to be the fastest decades in your life, the 30s and the 40s. You ask anybody that's my age, they go, "I was like a blur, man. That midlife crisis, and your kids are still teenagers. Yeah, that goes by fast. And before you know it, you're 50. Then you're 55. Then you're 60. And then it doesn't matter anymore." No, no, life's still enjoyable. But the most important thing, though, your health. If you don't have your health, man, it's horrible. You people look after your health, man. Eat properly. Don't eat things out of cans and boxes and drinks. Not good, man. Not good. You got to look after your life right off the hop. I wish I would have been a little bit smarter. I did there for a while, but now that you got older, And I remember when seeing the doctor, I got 2 bad knees. I'm waiting for a knee transplant, whatever they're gonna do with it. But anyways, the doctor told me a long time ago, he said, "What do you do?" "I'm a carpenter." And I got a pouch with 4 different kinds of nails and then a hammer and a tape, and he says, "Your body was not made to carry 60, 70 pounds around 12-hour days, 10-hour days every day." I worked one time 13 w 2 days short of 13 weeks one time, and that's when Amy was born in, '89. I was 2 days short. I never missed a shift all day. Working in Yellowknife, you were doing Twin Towers and, the land of the midnight sun. We'd pour concrete till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. It was still daylight, and I was only 28, 20, 31, I was 32, and yeah, the doctor said, "Your body was not made for that. Look after yourself. You can do what you want, but you still gotta look after yourself at all times." And that's where I failed. Alcohol was a big factor also, and, I liked my, honky tonks. Sure like dancing with them girls, now I can't. Son of a gun. Geez, I miss dancing. That's probably the most thing I ever miss is dancing with my wife, 'cause she's such a lovely dancer. My second date with her, we went dancing Cooks County, down Edmonton, right off of White Ave. Yeah, that was awesome. But now and she's got bad knees too now, and we didn't look after ourselves very good. And you young guys, make sure you stay on that, maintain that. You gotta look after yourself. I'm trying to now. I'm drinking all this herbal tea and with cloves and ginger, cinnamon, turmeric, and it's helping my joints. But it's not too late now because it's helping with the arthritis. But still, that yeah, I enjoyed the construction, but what it did to my body was eventually I know, and I made it sound like I drank lots back then, but no, I was a responsible person. Being into the management with a superintendent and general foreman, you have to heads up, can't second count, guess yourself, or else you're going to make mistakes. You know, when you work on an $85 million or a $175 million job, you can't afford to make mistakes. You can't or second guess yourself. You got to be on the ball all the time. And I like mathematics, subtraction, whatever. Remember my upper superintendent, he'd be figuring something out and I come up with a ballpark number. And they look at me, "How'd you do that?" "Fives and tens, dude. Fives and tens." "What do you mean by that?" "Well, fives and tens." So you just said the building was 3,500 feet by 100 feet. So 1 times 3,500 is 3,500. Then you put the 2 zeros in the back. So that's 350,000 square feet. I'm just do a simple thing. It
Right,
could
right,
be,
right.
but that's how you do that. Yeah, okay. And then they'd be figuring out concrete in the walls, how much, and I just measure the plywood, see how many sheets of plywood, 4 by 8, because I know how much concrete there is, and I'd get ballpark all the time. And after a while, they didn't even use a calculator, aspirate, and that was a compliment. Actually, it really is when they can rely on somebody like that out in the field, and you don't have to worry about stuff like that. And knowing about concrete, what it does, how it fits, what it's going to do for 'em. When you're pouring concrete 30 feet high and a meter wide, or even 500 walls, lots of 500 walls, the pressure is right there, right down there. The more you move it down, the more pressure you got. Now you gotta find out how much can that take, and how much. Where do you put your concrete? Otherwise, you blow the form, and there goes 5 truckloads of concrete. And that's what I did, mostly concrete, lots of concrete structures. It's kind of neat because when I was at a Caddy Diamond mine, all the concrete we did built 2 bridges one winter out of concrete. And like the one guy said, the Polish guy said, "Look at that." And he said, "We just stripped these forms." He just didn't made history, but he just ain't going nowhere. He was absolutely right, especially when you build a bridge or a dam. That structure will always be there. You just made history. And kind of proud of that because you look at the Grand Canyon when they did that. dam. It took 10 years to cool that off. They had to run piping through the walls a foot apart. So if it was 30 feet wide, those pipes, and they ran water through it to cool it off so it wouldn't crack. That's what they're trying to stop because all that heat would deteriorate, get hot, and blow up. So they had to try and cool the concrete off. Took 10 years to cool that off. Amazing. Same with the Panama Canal. That was amazing how they did that. That's one of the wonders of the world out of concrete. Totally amazing. I've always built when I was a kid. Dad would take me. Dad, where you going? To the garbage dump. Can I come? All right. Away we went. I come back with wheels, plywood, 2x4s, some old rusty nails, and I started making go-karts. I made a lot of toys for us kids. We didn't have much money, and a lot of kids didn't have much money back then until all the 60s and early 70s. You didn't have much. When you went to a restaurant, you went turnabout. That was a treat once a month. That was not now everybody eats in a restaurant like every day. Back then, you ate at home. Told Cole one time we were watching a documentary at Woodstock. He said, "Watch them people." And then Cole said, "Well, what am I watching for?" I said, "You see anybody obese there? Because that's the way people were. You ate at home. Even the hippies back then, they grew their own vegetables there. They brought their own vegetables to eat in that concert. Because you seen documentary. That's the way people are supposed to look.
Mhm.
Not like me. They said, I'm trying to be somebody. I haven't figured it out yet. But yeah, life's interesting. Especially, we're very fortunate to be Canadians. I'd be proud to be Canadians. You got you can do anything you want in this country, and if you got a job, a good pay, there's not a thing you can't do. Nothing. And if your wife works, that's even better. But when everybody says right now, oh, the price of living is so much and this and that. But you look at tradesmen are making 40 to $75 an hour. A 10-hour day, that's a 12-hour day, that's $1,000 a day. 10 days is 10 grand. 30 days in a month, that's 30 grand a month they're making. You could pay $100 for a 2-ounce steak. It wouldn't matter what all the money you're making. My cousin Owen just bought a golf course, Prairie Lake Lodge in Manitoba, Lake of the Prairies. He worked on the pipeline. Incredible money. $200,000 he'd make from July till Christmas time. I didn't see him till then because that's how much he worked. But that's how much money. But that was a dangerous job. Those guys earn their money. I
Mhm.
wish they really earn their money, man. I hear stories, horror stories from those guys. I put 7 people in ambulance in my time. 2 didn't come back. The worst one was 1987, just after Dane was born. And there was hardly any work in Saskatchewan. You had to go to Alberta all the time because I was in the laborers union and we were getting 14.65 an hour in 83, 84. And then all of a sudden, Grand Divine come over and come in, PCs over NDP, and everything went bad, went south, hardly any work. Wages dropped to $10 an hour in the laborers union. So I started going to Alberta, but I got a job in the rigs in Kindersley in 87. I was jackhammering here for Stuart Olsey. We did the Broadway Bridge. We took all the piers out, running a 100-pound jackhammer. I thought I was strong because I was trying this out. This is 84 when this happened, and I could free arm a 100-pound jackhammer. And I thought, holy smokes, I'm strong. And then I went to Kindersley and worked for Pirate Drilling, and we're doing single derricks. So we're running, moving every 85, 80, every 26, 27 hours. We were moving lots. So a friend of mine, uh, Sean Ball, was jackhammering with me and said, let's go over here. We're going to make $15 an hour. Okay. $5 more. And we went there and boy, I found new muscles. No wonder those guys are a little mouthy once in a while, man. Those guys are strong men. But it was the first day we had frost and the floor was freezing and you're sliding because of what you had to do moving. You move about 3, 4 tons of steel every 3, 4 minutes, and you had to move lots. And it's just like a chuck when you're drilling, and they call it the Kelly hose. It comes from the pump, and it pumps the circulation to the ground. and you disconnect that and you throw it down the rat hole. Down it goes. You undo the elevators, the clamps, swings back, you grab and you throw it to the elevators, they call it. And you grab another pipe, 33, 34 feet long. You bring it up, you stab it in, clamp it up, and you start drilling again. But they made him throw the Kelly down the hole by himself. A roughneck and a motor hand usually does that. And he was a motor hand. They made him do that by himself. He slipped and fell, corner of their derrick, and the thing come back and hit him in the head. And that was the end of him. He was 23 years old. Probably the worst phone call I ever did is phone their parents, Telegraph Creek, BC, and tell them their son's gone. It was a horrible night. They come and got me. I had to drive a dead man's car home. I go, it gave me the creeps. And I was speechless. And my mind was blank for about a week. I go, wow, I don't believe this happened. It was the first time I experienced death in construction. And it gave me that more respect for machinery and hydraulics. Hydraulics are totally unreal what they can do. When you get a pump truck that can pump concrete, because those pipes that we use for putting floors, 100 pounds every 6 feet, and you're pumping up 120 feet, half a football field straight up. I go, that's how strong the hydraulics were. Holy smokes, unreal. But that's, and then after that, I just, I come back home, start playing ball for 3, 4 years, and then go back into construction work as when these guys are coming around. Cole and Demi are around already, 89. And 89, I went to Yellowknife and started working Twin Towers Airport concrete. And then I started working away from home. Then after that, again, Cole, Cole was born. I come home from Grand Prairie. Cole was born that winter. And then that summer, we moved to Shellmouth. And then that fall, I start working out of town again. And boy, oh boy, we're walking, we're walking uh, construction people called probably the highest rate for divorces because you work out of town too much. And that was my problem. If I could do it again, I wouldn't have done that because Dad worked out of town for a year and a half in road construction. He uh, he rode a cat. He operated cats. He did it for Helms Construction. That's where he retired. He did it for Patch Pipeline in the 70s. And he was a really good cat operator. He was renowned here in Saskatoon, actually. But he worked out of town road construction before we moved to Delisle, out of Delisle to Saskatoon, and he worked out of town for a while. And he goes, that's it. I'm not going to work out of town no more. I remember in July, August, Dad, I said, "Would you coming home? Are we gonna go fishing all weekend this December before we go to school?" I said, "When are we gonna go fishing?" I was only grade 7. "Well, I'll be home soon, son. I'll be home soon." And finally, in October, he come home and he said, "I'm never gonna work out of town." He said, "I got family to tend to." And should have did the same thing, I guess. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I should have. But back when I went to Manitoba, when we were there, there was no jobs to be available there. There was 2 potash mines and bungies, but, it was hard to get in there at that time. But, all's well.
Yeah, I think
You make
like I think like for me, like I don't really know any different,
Yeah,
but like I don't have any ill will, like all I remember growing up, like even from you and mom, like you guys were very hard workers, both of you.
yeah,
And I feel like I was able to pick that up, you know? And then I just know that you guys loved us a lot
yeah,
and you did what you thought you had to.
yeah.
And that's good.
I got together here, all my high school friends that I used to go to school with, we all still hang out, and we've lost a few during the time, but last time I was in about 3 weeks ago, and we were at Sardinia's here with Wes Reese, Doug Backwin, Roger Larson, Brian O'Brien, and Jody Jackson, and Wes Reese says, my daughter boxes. He says, and he also heard about your son, Cole Smith. He says, he's a real go-getter. And Reese looks at me, he goes, wonder where you got that from. I go, yeah. Oh, it goes, man. Generation to generation. You got to go.
Mm,
You can't stop. Just, but enjoy life at the same time.
right.
Don't get lost into your business or your money because time goes by too fast. And like I said, money is just a tool. It doesn't make you any better than anybody, and it doesn't. A lot of people are like that. Look how big my pile is. I don't care how big your pile is. I really don't.
Mhm.
Are you a decent human being? Do you treat people the right way? Don't turn your head on a different nationality. Don't do that because I think different walks of life is so neat. When I got to go to Kyrgyzstan and met them Turkish people, and the bad thing about them Turkish people, a year and a half later, half of them lived in Istanbul, and there was an earthquake there, and it killed a lot of people. And my mind started going thinking about Annabek and all those other, they were jealous because we got there and we took over the job, the Canadians, because they're very proud of what they're doing there. And they weren't listening to us. There's 5 of us up atop the mountain there. Every time I grabbed the sheet of plywood, they'd take it out of my hand. Rod busters would be tying steel, they take the steel out of their hand. And remember this guy, we're down below, and the guy was going up the ladder, and he pointed, he said, Chivy. And what's that? He said, Chivy. And he come halfway down the ladder, and he's in my face. He yelled at me. Chivy in their language meant nails. So I got mad. And now he's in my face, he's yelling at me, smelling his bad breath, spitting in my face, and I grabbed him and threw him against the wall. And I thought, there's 2 Canadians down there, and there's 27 Turks. Oh, did I say? And then right away I go, how old are you? I said, how old are you? He went 21. And I marked 38. Things changed. They respected their elders. Right from that conversation, everybody stopped. Even their bosses were younger than me. And that was the end of that. I had no problem after that. They didn't get jealous. I treated them like human beings, like proper people. We exchanged gifts every time I come back to Canada. I made a mistake. I took $100 worth of $2 bills in 1996. It was the last of the $2 bill in Canada. And I gave them out. I don't even have a $2 bill. I should have kept some of them. But yeah, when I gave them those $2 bill and a $1 Canadian, an American, they they gave me a lot of trinkets. I got a lot of trinkets, a lot of nice souvenirs. Cole knows that. I brought a lot of stuff back from Kyrgyzstan, and yeah, it's kind of neat. And you know what? Them people are going through life just like us, trying to survive and try and be a decent human being. That's all they're doing. And for us to go to their country and to go bomb them, horrible. That's horrible. You have no business to take somebody's life at all. None. No matter what he did to you, you have no business to take somebody's life. That is not right. But I got along with those Kyrgyz people and the Russians and the Turks. It was fun. We built the primary crusher together. It was cool, and we all stood there. And every time I said photograph, oh boy, there's the Turks grooming themselves, gonna take a photograph. Yeah, it was kind of cool. I got the whole crew, all the Turks and everybody, and it was kind of neat. I still got pictures of that.
Well, we're coming to an hour and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Who's gonna watch
What do you mean?
an hour and a half? Does everybody chew the fat for an hour and a half, or just me?
The
Holy,
longest one I had was 2.5 hours.
really?
Yeah.
Holy, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Why not?
But like usually an hour-ish.
But you know, when you start talking like that,
Yeah.
and you listen to somebody what he went through life, and you got to listen because
Right.
there's a story and there's a lesson there.
Yeah.
There really is. You have to listen to it.
Well, I think you should end this with a joke.
End it with a joke. All right. Let me think. I better think of
A good one.
a good one. Uh, all my jokes are dirty.
That's okay.
That's all right. Everybody likes pets, right? A young couple just got married and they're going to university. And they didn't like living in the city, so they rented a place out in the country close to town. And they're thinking, well, we've been married for a couple of years going to university and we wouldn't be practical to have kids right now. So they're all raised with dogs and cats and whatever. And they're figuring out, well, should we get a dog or a cat? And I thought, well, let's load up. We'll go to the city and see what they got to offer us. Away they went. Got to the pet store and they're looking at the dog, the puppies and the kittens. They come to this cage. On top of the cage had a sign, "My name is Harry. I understand English." They looked in and there's little monkeys looking at him. "Is your name Harry?" "Oh, my," he said, "Harry, you like going for walks?" Wait, this monkey's asking, "Are you potty trained, Harry?" "Oh, my God." And he asked a few more questions. Asked the manager to come over. And he said, "This guy's potty trained?" "Oh, yeah." Well, they thought that was pretty practical. Purchased the monkey. Where they went. Put him in the car down the highway. They're going home. Cop driving by. Sees his car upside down in a ditch with a monkey sitting on top of it. They're looking at the monkey. Monkey looking at the cop. And cop looks in the car upside down. And young couples both in the back seat, half undressed. "Oh, my God." The cop said, "What happened here to the monkey?" "They're drinking." "Oh, my God," he says. "Looking at you. What else are they doing?" "They're smoking dope and drinking in the back seat." "Oh, my God." The cop said, "That's horrible." "Well, they're both undressed there in the back. What's going on there?" "They're having sex, smoking dope and drinking beer." The monkey, "Oh, my God." The cop said, "That's horrible." He's looking at the monkey looking at him. And he asked the monkey, "What were you doing?" Stupid. Well, this is fun. I'm glad my son asked me to do this because I seen him talk to other people like this, and I'm proud of my son. He's got this shaw. He's doing the boxing scene that we both liked at one time, and I still do. They're doing very well. And I got 2 great grandsons, and I'm looking forward to watching them grow. And they'll have lots of opportunity to do whatever they want because their parents are very thoughtful about that. Demi is wonderful. I very fortunate to meet somebody like that. April 18th, it'll be 25 years for me and Heather that we've been together. I met her in Edmonton. I was 41 and she was 46. Yeah, she's been a wonderful wife. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. Very, very fortunate. She's my third wife. 3 tries for $1. Those lawyers cost a lot of money, man. Well,
And on that note,
yeah, exactly.
oh, but thanks for coming on.
Mm-hmm.